Marquette County Board of Commissioners to order. Please note all commissioners present. Stand for the pledge, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes of the following county board meetings. The regular meeting held on May 19th, 2020. Your pleasure.
I'll move approval of the minutes as prepared.
Moved by Commissioner Adamini. Do we have a support?
Support. Nordine.
Support by Commissioner Nordine. Questions or comments on the minutes? Roll call.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Alholm?
I still not see any audio for her.
Commissioner Alholm, can you hear us?
Nod yes.
Can you
Yes.
nod yes or no? Can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Yeah, so, if she's in favor of it, she can nod yes.
Okay, if you're in favor, just nod yes when we call it.
She did.
Yep, we got you. Okay. Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan?
Yes. No proclamations, presentations, or awards. Approval of the agenda with the permission of the board. I'd like to add 11A, late addition, non-represented, recommended wage increase and bonus for the non-represented.
Commissioner Gross, move to approve with the late addition.
Moved by Commissioner DeRosa. Do we have a support?
Commissioner DePietro, second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Alholm? Where'd she go? Okay. Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan?
Yes.
That's you.
Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Commissioners may speak at this time. Public comment.
Nobody got their hand up, but you got two people on the phone. Oh, do you want to unmute them?
Yes.
Open.
Anyone on the phone wish to speak, please do so by starting with your name. Second opportunity, anybody on the phone who wishes to speak in public comment, please start by stating your name. Hearing none, we have no permission to speak.
Public comment. Anyone on the phone, please give your name and give your comment at this time. Okay, public comment is closed. Review of claims and accounts, total expenditures for the period May 14th through the 29th, $519,455.01. Bi-weekly payroll for the period ending May 16, 2020, $608,464.32. Motion to pay the bill. A motion to pay the bills.
So moved by Commissioner Nordine. Support by Commissioner
Moved
DePietro.
by Commissioner Nordine, supported by Commissioner DePietro to pay the bills. Questions on the bills? Roll call.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Alholm?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan?
Yes. There are no public hearings or privileged comment. Informational item, EGLE notification 601 trucking motion to accept for file and accept comment would be in order.
So moved, Commissioner DeRosa.
Moved by Commissioner DeRosa, supported by Commissioner Otabene. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Elholm? Commissioner Elholm?
She looks frozen to me. She hasn't disconnected. I'm guessing she's going to shortly.
Oh, she went away.
Yep, there she goes.
Okay.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan?
Yes.
And Commissioner Elholm, on the informational item, how do you vote? Yes or no? Thank you.
Action items, community corrections grant application, Amy Peters, community corrections coordinator, is seeking county board authorization to submit 2021 community corrections grant request. The total grant request is $67,204. Details of how the funds will be allocated is on the attached memo. So we have a recommendation to authorize submitting a community corrections grant application.
And Amy's on Zoom for you if you have questions.
Commissioner DePietro will recommend that we approve the authorization as presented.
Commissioner Nordine supports.
Moved by Commissioner Petros, supported by Commissioner Nordine. Amy, you want to talk about how the money will be used?
Sure, thank you for having me. So this year we asked for a little bit more than last year. We asked for $67,200. This supports two programs, pretrial services and pretrial service assessment, along with moral recognition therapy, which we've offered the last 5 years. The rest would be $18,700 for admin, salary, travel, supplies. And then I just wanted to let you know that, the goal of community corrections is still to reduce recidivism, all while of increasing public safety and decreasing recidivism.
Commissioner Nordine had a question.
We're one of the few counties in the Upper Peninsula that I know of that actually get funding. Are there any others that you're aware of?
No, to my knowledge, we're the only ones in the UP still that are receiving funding.
So that's a credit to you and your program to be able to get funding where they've dropped all the other 14 counties. Any other
Thank you.
questions or comments from the board?
I have one more question. So this is 100% grant, there's no contribution by the county?
Actually, this past year, because of my caseload with pretrial services, currently my caseload is around 67 pretrial offenders, all felony, medium to high risk. So that's a bulk of my time. I had asked back in the fall for some additional hours, and so the county has pitched in from, I believe it's a revenue type of account from the work group in years past. And we supplemented those extra hours for this year. For fiscal year 2021, when asking for this additional money, last year we received around 50,000. This year we're asking for 67, so there's an increase, and that it would be to cover 30 hours a week, so the county wouldn't have to provide any additional funding.
So there is no contribution then for this grant, it's 100% grant, but the county voluntarily supplemented some of it in the past, right?
Commissioner Nordine, that is correct. There were reserve funds from the work group program that were used to pay for those additional hours that Amy is referring to. Nothing came out of the general fund, and there is no match requirement from the county.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from commissioners?
And Vice Chairman, Commissioner DePietro would like to comment. Do I have the floor?
Yes, sir?
Thank you. Anyways, Amy Peters is the community correction coordinator, and she had been very fortunate this year to get the fundings that she had requested. Don and Lance and the DOCs really tightening up their budgets and fought pretty hard in the past to get what she could get. But anyways, they're working with her this year because they know the demand that she is having at this time. So I gotta give her kudos for all the work and behind the scenes that she's been doing. So I want to thank her very much for that.
The only question I have, I guess, is one of the goals is to keep some of these people from going to prison. Do you have any idea how successful we've been?
For our prison commitment rate here in Marquette, it did increase from 2018 to 2019. In 2018, we were at 20.7%, and in 2019, we were at 26.5%. That being said, our target population is the Group 2 straddle cell offenders, which are those that have sentencing guidelines for 12 months to 24 months, so they could either stay in jail or go to prison. So that target population did decrease. Again, that's our target population. So from 2018 to 2019, it went from 23.5% to 19.2%.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner DePietro,
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa, Commissioner Edmonds,
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine,
Yes.
Commissioner Alholm, Commissioner Alholm,
I think she might be frozen again.
Chairperson Corrigan.
Yes.
Are you with us, Commissioner Alholm, yet? Nothing?
She's still joined twice, but yeah.
Okay.
10B is 2020 tax rate request, and I'll call on Ann, I guess, to talk about it.
Well, you should be familiar with seeing this, at least once and sometimes twice a year. I did put both the summer and the winter levies on one form. This time, I'm not sure if that's the way we used to do it or not, but, so this is basically our levies for 2020. And I guess of important note is that for the first time in many, many years, we do have a headly reduction fraction being applied to our villages in Marquette County. And that, I don't even remember the last time that happened, and I was treasurer for 12 years, so it's been quite a while since that happened. So that does reduce the amount that we're able to collect. However, if you recall Jackie Light's presentation back in April, I think it was, we did have a taxable value increase for 2020, so we will still see an increase in our tax collection. The only other thing that I guess I would draw your attention to is the transit millage. As you know, a couple of meetings ago, we did approve their ballot language. That will be on the August ballot. So this form does assume that that passes. If for some reason it didn't, we would have to go back and revise it before March 4th.
Motion to approve the 2020 tax rate request from Marquette County.
Commissioner DePietro make the motion to approve the recommendation as presented.
Supported by Commissioner Adamini. I'd just like to remind commissioners, one of the main reasons you're getting a big increase in the county was the work that we put in when they were trying to give Semco Energy free taxes on that new pipeline. So the work that the commissioners put in and others in the state it's paying off for a little extra money for the county. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner DePietro,
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine,
Yes.
Commissioner Elbom, Chairperson Corcoran.
Yes. Next is the CARES grant, acceptance, and I guess, Dwayne, you want to comment on it?
Yes, as the commission may recall, the federal government issued a CARES Act in response to the COVID pandemic. And through that grant, there was earmarked $10 billion for airports across the country. Marquette County and Sawyer International were very fortunate that we were awarded out of that $10 billion, we were awarded $18,075,846. That was divided through an FAA formula, distributing it throughout the country. That grant is
Hopefully that will help if you
can accessible to use for FAA approved airport operating expenses, debt repayment, and land acquisition, and capital improvement projects. Quick note on this grant, this is all 100% federally funded. There is no share of any of this grant money. When we initially submitted the grant, it was submitted under operating expenses. So we initially identified 18 million under our operational expenses. What we plan on doing is going back in the future and creating a comprehensive plan to input capital improvement projects. And then once we have a comprehensive plan, we're going to submit a request to amend the grant so that we can utilize some of the monies, not just for operating expenses, but also for capital improvement projects. Quick note on the two aspects that we're going to utilize it under is the operating expenses. That funding must be utilized within 4 years after the execution of the grant. So once we get the final executed grant, we'll have 4 years to spend the money that we have earmarked in that account or that area of the grant. We can go back as far back as January 20th and recoup all of our operating expenses from that point moving forward. The next item is capital improvement projects, and we're going to again take a comprehensive look at projects that we feel like will help Sawyer and Marquette County have a successful and prosperous airport moving into the future. Now, those grant funds currently do not have an expiration date, so that we will be able to take our time. This is not something that we would need to just spend money within a 4-year time. This gives us some flexibility to plan all the projects in building phases. Our recommendations is for that Marquette County Board to approve the acceptance of the grant. This is a CARES Act grant number 3-26-0153-047-2020, and this would also include the attached FAA resolution authorizing Chairperson Corcoran and Civil Council and the County Clerk to provide signatures for the grant documentation.
As for a motion and support,
Commissioner DePietro will make a motion to approve the recommendation as presented. Commissioner DeRosa support.
motion and support. Some of the key things that you just went over, it covers operating expenses for 4 years, and debt repayment, land acquisition, capital improvement projects, and there's no local match. Some of the key things that are in here, and we we did receive much more than the rest of the ones in the UP, but if you remember the little bit of the history of what goes on in the UP, most of the other airports, get between $1 and $3 million a year for essential air service. So we add that up over 30 years, we finally got a little break in Marquette County to get some help for our airport. So anyway, any other comments? This is a real help to us going through this rough period with the lack of people flying out for a couple of months, so couldn't come at a better time. And some of the projects that the board's been working on out there to keep the jobs there will be helped by this amount of money. So it's a big boost in bad financial times for airports across the country. Any other questions or comments?
Commissioner DePietro make a comment that the great job done by Dwayne to get this grant money and to be one of the only airports around with this kind of support from the FAA. But whenever he puts a capital letters, grant is 100% federally sponsored, requiring no local share of funding, I have no issues, Dwayne, with your recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So we're going to vote on the staff recommendation and the resolution. Roll call.
Commissioner DePietro,
Yes?
Commissioner DeRosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini,
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine,
Yes.
Commissioner Elmore,
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan.
Yes. Next, 2020 capital projects, I guess the board, we put on hold some of these a couple of months ago. Now we have a recommendation from the administrator to discontinue the delay on capital purchase and projects identified in the approved 2020 capital project list. So
That's correct, Chairman. Just at this point, the majority of them are funded through other funds. I think given some of the needs that some departments asking, we're asking for the board's consideration at this time to discontinue the delay on that. I think as you look at the information that was provided before, it's only about 27,000 came from the general fund. The rest of these come from grant dollars, recreation, forest funds, and other funds that have been set aside. So at this point, we've made some progress through it, and I think it would be time to reconsider the previous recommendation and to allow staff to get back into making the capital purchase for this year. Obviously, we're going to be looking very closely at what we do for next year, whether there's dollars for next year, but this year, we would like to proceed.
motion to consider. Moved by Commissioner Adamini, have a support.
Commissioner DePietro, support.
Questions or comments? I think it's a wise move to move forward with these. Most of them have to do with a lot of maintenance issues on buildings and so forth, and I guess if the monies are scarce for next year, I guess we can have to cut back. Roll call.
Commissioner Adamini,
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine,
Yes.
Commissioner Elmore,
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro,
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa,
Yes.
Chairperson Corrigan.
Yes. 10E, life and long-term disability insurance recommendation. This is something that Human Resources worked on, and just you want to comment on it, Jim?
Yes, sir. Well, our current contract with Lincoln Financial for the life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, also called AD&D, and our long-term disability or LTD insurance. That policy is going with Lincoln Financial, and it expires effective August 1st. So I've obtained quotes for these employee benefit plans. The Lincoln quote, we've had some claims on our Lincoln policy in the last 2 years of that policy, and the rates on that have increased from, on the life insurance, from 13 cents per $1,000 coverage to 14.3 cents. The quote for the AD&D remains unchanged at 3 cents per $1,000 coverage. Their long-term or LTD coverage, the rate increased from 36.5 cents per $100 earnings to 40.2 cents per $100 earnings. Lincoln did, even though they have the increase, but they've offered to delay the premium rate actual increase for 6 months until February 1st, 2021. Our other proposal we have is from through the Western Michigan Health Insurance Pool. They had 5 different insurance carriers quote. The most competitive quote was from National Insurance Services, and their life insurance rate was 10.5 cents per $1,000 coverage, and the AD&D rate is the same as the Lincoln's at 3 cents per $1,000. Their LTD coverage from National Insurance Services is 29 cents per $100 earnings, which is significantly lower than the Lincoln quote. The Lincoln quote has a 3-year rate guarantee until August 1 of 2023, while the National Insurance quote has almost a 5-year rate guarantee until April 1 of 2025. Based on those quotes and the number of employees covered under those coverages, the county would save approximately $14,700 in the first 12 months, beginning August 1, and then $17,700 annually. That difference is because of that 6-month delay on the increase from Lincoln. So based on those lower rates from National Insurance Services and the fact that they are apples to apples benefits coverage quote, I recommend the County Board of Commissioners authorize the change from Lincoln to NIS effective August 1st, 2020.
Are the benefits comparable?
Yes, they're the same.
Okay, so I guess it's kind of a no-brainer if we can save $14,700 the first 12 months and $17,700 annually after that. Motion to consider.
I make a motion, Commissioner DeRosa, to follow staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner DeRosa, out of support.
Commissioner DePietro, support.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Namini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Elmore?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Chairperson Corcoran?
Yes. Next item, the City of Benghazi TIF resolution. I think it's the 3rd time we've been dealing with this thing. You want to comment, Scott?
That's correct, Chairman. The last time we brought this to you was after we were noticed that they had the public hearing on March 12th. They ended up canceling that. We weren't advised the board that we'd asked the board to act on it. We reaffirmed their approval for the support of the TIF district, but opting out with the conditions of that we had announced here. And so because it did not have their meeting at the time, we are now coming to you to do this because there's a 60-day requirement to respond after they had their public hearing. We've affirmed that they had their public hearing in May, and that's been done. And so we bring to you basically with a revised resolution and their map to, again, opt out of the TIF expansion. However, we would enter into a cost sharing of 10 for the first 10 years at 100% and 50% at the last 5, and then it would be done at that point. We'd collect fully. Again, just a reminder on the TIF expansions, the county does not lose any money based on what's already being paid. It's only if there's any increase in value for that time and you're willing to consider the 100% for the first 10 and 50% for 5, but it will not go on indefinitely. So all we're asking for is a reaffirmation of this resolution that you have approved in the past. I'm hoping this is the last time. The next meeting you have, we're working with the legal counsel for the city of Negaunee. There will be a interlocal agreement. We'll have to have a public hearing for that, but it requires board action at the next meeting. That is not part of today. It's just opting out and reaffirming in the resolution that the first 10 years would be at 100%, and the next 5 at 50, and it would end after that.
Motion to consider the resolution.
Commissioner DePietro makes a motion to consider the resolution.
Have support? Support. Support, Commissioner Ivey. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner DePietro,
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa,
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini,
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine,
Yes.
Commissioner Nobel,
Yes.
Chairperson Clerk.
Yes. Next, Marquette County Preparedness Plan, full copy in the administrator's office. Gets worked on by Human Resources and Scott and everybody.
Well, it was a full effort, so.
Everybody, I guess. So,
Lots of hands. So if I could touch on this, as part of the executive orders and even OSHA, there's requirements now for employers that we must adhere to, and this preparedness and response plan is one of them. MIRMA, our insurance carrier, did provide a template which has been updated numerous times. So what we have before you was the template that was last put together and updated after Executive Order 97. 96 was in there, and I believe Executive Order 36 or 26. So this preparedness plan, that you were provided last Friday, and then an updated version with the Appendix H included, was what we put into place effective June 1st. So we're asking for board affirmation of the action that we took. If you spend some time reading it, the most important part, probably the first 7 or 8 pages, these are the requirements taken right out of the executive orders. And so we have that plus the attachments that were required and the postings that we have throughout the facility and the actions in which we're taking. Credit goes to Civil Council. It was Finance also got their hands in it. Facilities, Aaron Carlstrom, myself. This was a lot of different pieces, parts, and we had to have portions reviewed by department heads as well to get to this point. So to be in compliance, we're asking board to reaffirm the action that was taken and finalizing this and putting it into effect June 1st. And if you did not get a chance to see, I hope all of you saw this afternoon, I did send out an updated recommendation. Nothing really changed except for the verbiage I used and the recommendation to the board. And part of that was thinking about the numerous times that changes have taken place with the executive orders through this time. And so what I put in the revised recommendation is to approve the proposed County of Marquette Preparedness and Response Plan as presented, and authorize future amendments to incorporate future statutory OSHA or executive order requirements. Basically, unless there's something really, a very significant change, we'd obviously bring that back, but to try and stay up with these ongoing changes that seem to be coming on an unknown and very oftentimes a weekly basis or more, we'd like to have administrative have some ability to make these adjustments fluidly. If there's something really significant, clearly we'll bring that back to the board. So that's where we leave it today. There's a group of us ready to try and answer questions as best we can.
This is something that we're required to do, and I looked through it today, and I guess I would find it kind of hard to work with because of all the different things that are in there. But this is what we're required to do by the executive order, but it's just pretty difficult to follow every single thing in detail. Anyway, motion to send it on to the state.
Look, we're just approving it. You're just approving the action taken.
Also moved.
Moved by Commissioner Adamini, support by Commissioner Corkin. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Chairperson Corkin?
Yes. Next, we go down to the late edition non-representative recommendation wage increase and bonus. Prior to the pandemic, county staff, direction from the County Board of Commissioners, negotiated and settled the 3 bargaining unit agreements that originally expired December 31, 2019. Additionally, the Sheriff Road Patrol beginning agreement expires June 30th, 2020. Since the county uses a classification and compensation system that determines point values for positions which impacts wages, it is important to keep the system in balance. Non-represented employees comprised of department managers, supervisors, and sensitive positions are not unionized and cannot negotiate. The positions are included in the classification and compensation system. We have a recommendation to approve a 1% annual increase effective June 1, 2020 with a $250 bonus, 1% wage increase starting January 1, 2021 with a $250 bonus, and a 1% wage increase starting January 1, 2022. This is pretty comparable to others that we've settled with the bargaining units. Motion to consider.
Commissioner DeRosa, I would move to staff recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner DeRosa, do we have a support?
Support by Commissioner DePietro.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Commissioner DeRosa?
Yes.
Commissioner Adamini?
Yes.
Commissioner Nordine?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner DePietro?
Yes.
Chairperson Corkin?
Yes.
Yeah, there's still section 4.
We'll eliminate the closed session, which is not a need for it. Public comment. Anybody sign up for public comment on the phone and wish to speak?
Commissioner, Sheriff Greg Zyber,
Yes, sir.
are you able to hear me?
No.
You guys able to hear me?
Yes. I can hear
I
you.
wasn't, sorry I wasn't able to get it, for some reason my Zoom wasn't working, but I just wanted to, I'm sure Scott has been keeping you up. I don't know if you all heard we had a positive case inside the jail, but I think because of the diligent work of the staff to establish protocols to protect both the staff and inmates, we were able to get through that without anyone else catching it. And the subject that was brought in by the Michigan State Police, that was early last Friday. The individual was screened, wasn't showing any symptoms, was asymptomatic, and the person, however, did report through our questioning that they had contact with someone who had the virus. And so per the jail protocol, we did, anyone coming in new, we keep them all separated and not, and no contact with the general population. And using the protocols with the county and the state, the masks, the gloves, everything, our staff has been tested, all the inmates have been tested, and there's been no other cases of it. So I knew it was kind of inevitable with the population that we do get, that we would get it. We were hoping we wouldn't, but we're happy to report so far, knock on wood, everything is going well.
The rest of our organization, the officers continue to take complaints from the public in a safe manner for both the officers and the public. Our numbers in the jail are down because we've worked with the courts and we are giving personal reconnaissance bonds for most people unless they pretty much rape, rob, or murder. So we are starting to open back up a bit, and with the Memorial Weekend, we had about 22, 23 arrests. So with the warm weather, things are starting to change a bit. And but happy to report that everyone as of now is safe and healthy.
Well, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you and your staff for a good job in dealing with the COVID issue.
It has been, the staff was a little nervous, and we talked with them, and with the help of Jerry Masana and Scott, we've been working as a team, and it's been going well. I also wanted to let you know that we are working closely with Marquette City Police and with the protesters, and basically keeping an eye from a safe distance and ready to back them up whenever. And so far people have been very good, and we have no problem with their protesting and their First Amendment rights. There has been a very small percentage of instigators trying to get some assaultive behavior or vandalism, but that's very minimal, and we hope they continue to be a peaceful protesting. So thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner comments, I guess we had a meeting today, Commissioner Adamini, myself, and Scott was the head of MEDC. Steve helped set up the meeting and talked about an important project that may occur in Marquette County here in the future, and laid the groundwork for getting the MEDC to wade in and give us some help for something that could be pretty exciting. Anything you want to say?
No, I think you handled that well, Chairman. I think we just want to, we'll keep working those contacts and hope that the project comes to light and they'll be able to give us that needed assistance.
So we've also been working, or I have anyway, been working with the EDA to get them involved in the Chicago office. So we're trying to prepare ourselves to get some help for a future project. Also, we had a constituent issue, I guess, that Commissioner Grosjean was involved in. Any comment on that, Joe?
We're currently working a solution with the DNR to resolve that before we actually have to bring it to the county board, so stay tuned.
Just for the information, what happened was last fall, the DNR shut off a bridge over the Black River that affected 3 landowners that couldn't get to their property with a vehicle any longer. So that gives you a little flavor of what it's all about. Any other commissioner comments?
Commissioner DePietro, Mr. Chairman. Anyways, I'd like to, Commissioner Nordine did an excellent job being interviewed by WLUC TV6 about a week ago in Gwen, and he had the chance to talk about one of his firefighter brothers, Dan Warren. But anyways, it was very, to me, very compassionate talking of his brother Ben, and I really appreciated that, so I wanted to acknowledge Commissioner Nordine for his comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill. Any other?
Well, I have one question for you, Chair. Now that we're moving to phase 5 with this COVID-19 thing, are we gonna go back to in-person meetings anytime soon, or are we waiting until phase 6?
I hope so. I would,
Can I clarify? Commissioner Nordine, been following MAC is actually, we're looking into where the order stands specific to meetings right now, and I know MAC is also researching that, so stay tuned, it's one of those, hopefully we'll be able to get you some clarification, hopefully even this week.
And it works fine, I mean, we're getting the job done with the Zoom, but I think that I just missed seeing you, all you guys, so I just wanted to get back together.
there's no comparison to having everybody in the room and talking to one another and debating issues, whatever, so it's something that we can get by with and get the job done, but there's no replacing the contact at the board level in the room. Anytime you want to deal with anything, the best way is to talk face to face with people.
I agree, I think that we have much better dialogue when we're in person.
Right. Any other?
Can I add one more thing, Jerry?
Sure.
As far as this Ben Lord thing goes, we have that Senate bill to rename M35 as North Glen to Fort Township. And that Senate bill is coming up, tomorrow at 12:30. So, I'm gonna give testimony by Zoom, and so is the supervisor of Forsyth Township, so hopefully that passes, I'm sure it will. Without a problem, we're gonna rename, that part of M35. So thank you for your support, for the board supporting that resolution.
It's a worthy gesture that should be passed. Staff comment?
Not for me, thank you.
Meeting adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.